Hey guys, Coach Hug here. Here we are with another in-game lesson, where the last one we were basically doing in-games that were focusing on like rook pawn, and we were really focused on like drawing, basically seeing those kind of mechanics. This one we're basically just trying to have a pawn promote, right? We're trying to break through the structure, try to get to that last rank, and that basically determines these in-games. I call them breakthrough in games. With this one, I'm going to be teaching 3 key chess concepts that many chess lovers know. Maybe you guys do or do not know, but they will be breakthrough in games, which I just told you guys, pawn box, and the rule of the square. So those will be the 3 I am going to be teaching. So the first one, these end games that are focused on breaking through a structure, breaking through their pawns to promotion, right? And I will teach the other 2 while we get through. So here we are with probably one of the most common breakthrough in games, where basically we come to this other concept of a pawn box. A hint with this one is we're going to want 4 pawns kind of looking towards each other. They don't really have to be the same color. They could be like 3 black, 1 white, 2 black, 2 whites, but yes. So I'm going to show the eval. It's completely winning for white, and I'm going to pause the video and see if you guys can find it. Pause. Unpause. So, the move, let's first look at some other moves. So let's look at f6, right? Yeah, this loses. And you guys are probably wondering how. Well, basically, black is going to be able to come over here. So, like, after this and this, black is going to have enough time to come over and win this pawn. So, that doesn't work, right? So let's look at another concept. Let's try h6, sorry. Well, this one doesn't work either because we have the same problem. They're just going to come over and win this pawn. So there's nothing there. So how do we do this? How do we win this type of endgame? Well, how can I win it? And yeah, basically, after this, we would infiltrate like this, be able to win this, if you guys are wondering. But let's go all the way back. Let's go to the purpose. So if it's not f6 or h6, it has to be g6, right? But this is where we don't want to go into basically a drawn endgame where basically we have that structure, right? Where it's basically 3 on 3. But in this one, we don't actually need to do that, right? We create a pawn box. So, with either way they take, we go here, right? It would be basically drawn if we decided to just do this, right? This would be completely drawn. Because black could either do this, or they could take, and even though they come over, this would be a drawn game in this case. But, if we go the other way, if they take, you take, this is losing because they would infiltrate like this, right? So if those don't work, why does g6 work? Well, it's because after they take, we don't actually have to take back. We can create a pawn box. And like I said, it was basically 4 pawns looking together. Well, the move is h6. And what's so beautiful is basically, no matter what pawn they take, the other pawn will promote, right? So basically, this is a breakthrough in game and using the pawn box concept. So if they take the h pawn, we can promote with the f pawn, right? After a few more moves, they cannot stop promotion and will win all these pawns, right? So if we go back, let's say they take this pawn they approach, well then we take the g pawn, and we're still in time to promote. So this concept also works if we do it like this way. We can create the pawn box this way too. And no matter what pawn they take, we'll be able to promote with the other one. So if they take this way, we can promote this way. And if they take this way, we can promote this way. So, that is the first lesson, or the first puzzle, sorry. Let's now go to the second puzzle. Now this one is black, and I'm hoping that you guys can maybe use the two concepts we learned. I want you guys to break through, get a promotion, and maybe or maybe not use that pawn box concept. Pause. Unpause. So yes, the move is, well, actually, let's first go over some moves, how we draw. So, if we do h-take, this is a draw. Basically, after fx, and if we did king up, they would have this drawing move, which is h5, and basically they would trade off all the pawns here, and here, and there'd be nothing for black, right? So after like something like this, it'd be like this, right? If we go all the way back, we actually have one move that wins. Pause. Unpause. Yes. Move is g5. And why this works is we create a pawn box. No matter what pawn they take, we can take the other one and promote. So, if they take this way, we can just take this way and promote. And yes, they can push this way, but then we come to the third concept, which is the rule of the square. So basically, the white pawn has 2 more spaces to promote, right? Well, the rule of the square dictates that if the other person's king can go into the square of basically 1, 2, right? So it would be 1, 2. This would be the square. Then the white pawn cannot promote. And since the black king can go into the rule of the square on its turn, then there's no promotion, right? So if the white king or the black king was here, then the white pawn would be able to promote. So like, let's say in this situation, they pushed, and I was like, okay, I want to promote, right? Now, whites win. Basically, the idea is we can't go into the square. Basically, they would go here, and their square is only this little small square. And basically, if we move here, they're just going to promote. So that's the rule of the square. And we'll see a lot of these endgames. Let's try the other way. So let's say we go here, and they take this way. Well, I think I said earlier that we take, no, we just push our pawn here, and we still promote. And basically, no matter what they do, if they do something like this, we go here, and we'd be able to win with a nice promotion. So, this is combining pawn box, breakthrough endgame, and the rule of square all in one. So we're linking all these endgame concepts in this one puzzle. Let's see if we maybe need to do that in another one. So let's go to the third one. So this one, we're trying to break through, but instead of winning as one side, white is just trying to draw. And this was a little bit hard in that it kind of looks like black is winning. Black, 4 more squares to promote, their king is like helping it along, but white has one move that draws. And yeah, so pause, unpause. Basically, white can try multiple things, right? So let's try take on equal, right? It doesn't work, sadly. Black does promote in time. And basically this would be how it would look, and no matter what would happen, black would promote in enough time. So, if we try a different way, if we go all the way back, we can't take that pawn. So then, we have to look at all the other moves we have as white. And basically, with the king, the only other move other than taking is back. So then, we maybe have to look at the pawns. Because really, if we go back, they're just going to promote, and we're in the same conundrum that we just won. So, let's do the move. Well, the move is breaking through. And basically, how this draws is basically one of our pawns is going to promote. And once it promotes, we have basically drawing chances to check this king, and even though they promote too, it will be hard for them to really trade off our queens, and that would be the situation, right? So basically, after they take, basically we would have a5, and even if they take this pawn, we have this, and to take, we could promote, and we're actually winning in this case, right? In that situation, they wouldn't have to take, they could just go b3, and even though we take, we go here, promote, promote. Basically, they would have drawing chances with their queen versus our queen. This would be the game, right? And if we go all the way back, because this is a very hard endgame, and realizing that this isn't checkers, right? We're not forced to take. So, after b4, let's go over some other moves. Let's say they go g4. Well, now we're a little bit better. And the reason why is because basically now we have c5. And the idea is either this pawn's going to promote, right? Or this pawn's going to promote. Pretty much is that result. And after they take here, and that'll be that. And if they take this way, again, this pawn will promote. And if they take this way, this pawn will promote. Basically, how black would try to survive here is I'm pretty sure they would go g3, right? And basically, this pawn is a little bit more helping for them than all those other, like, it's a little bit faster is what I need to say. But if we go all the way back, they won't allow this. After b4, they would take, because this would be their best shot. And if we go a5, their b3 pawn is fast enough. And even though we promote 2, they promote a little bit faster. And this is how draw would take place, if they would agree to a draw, and yeah. But that is how you survive. You break through. Now, let's go into another endgame. Okay, now I want to see if you guys can link those concepts together. Again, for this endgame, breakthrough endgame, right? Pawn box, and rule of the square. So, what move can white do to achieve all those? And link them all together. Pause. Unpause. Let's go through some moves that potentially could work. F4. Could that work? Nah. Just a draw. After take, black would be winning. And if they go here, right, black would be winning. And they don't have time to promote this because of the rule of the square, that we have enough time to reach it. But black does have one move after this, and what that move would be c6. Basically, they have enough time for any of our pawns to do anything. They would have enough time with their king to catch it. But what's a way, instead of playing f4, that basically we're creating a way where one of our pawns is going to break through. The pawn box. It's beautiful. It is just simply b5. And the idea here is, let's say, we always go with the flank pawn. So let's say we go with a pawn, they take on b5. We would have a6. And let's say they take on c4. We take. Let's say they take on b5. We take. It almost looks like they can come in time, but thankfully our white king protects the pawn enough. And let's say we go through this a little bit deeper. Let's say we go through, there's another line. Maybe take, we go c6. And you're thinking, Coach, if we go b7, they promote, they're going to catch her, they're going to be in the rule of the square, because technically they are, right? But we then have, pretty sure, this one I guess I was a little sloppy on. I think, yes, we would basically say we would be getting these two pawns for that one. We'd be going b4, and after they go b5, capture it with b6, we then go a7, and after they go back to get it, we take this pawn, they would take this pawn, we go here, and thankfully we have enough pawns to take. So that one is a little bit more, I think that's probably one of the more confusing lines. So let's go all the way back. So here, let's say they don't take on b5, they take h5. Well, we still have the same pawn to take, which would be a 6. And the idea here is they still don't have enough time, because yes, you think they have b7, but then we have an idea that kind of constricts the king. So basically, they need to get to b6, right? But how do we prevent them to get to b6? We play c5. And the idea is they can't take the pawn, right? Because if they take the pawn, we can promote. They're not in the box in the rule of the square. Sorry. And again, to show everybody, the rule of the square, currently black king is in the rule of the square. But when we play c5, we're making it where they can't go into b6 to get the pawn. And if they take c5, they're out of the square, right? Because look at this. And do not have enough moves to get into the square. But if we go c5 again, they're not forced to take. Let's say they go a4. We have all the time in the world. Basically, we're going to win this pawn. They can't take. We're basically going to make it like Z-swing. We're going to go like a5. And basically, they're going to be forced to go this way. And then we can promote. So basically, the situation we go like this. Here. Again, they can't take. They would go like here. We take. And then they would have to move. And no matter what position they would move in, we'd be able to promote. And that's how you do it. So again, basically we go b5, and if they take here, we would go with a6, they take, we go c6, we go b4, we go b5, we then go a7, a7, take, they take, we go. So yes, that is probably the most confusing line, but that is breakthrough in game, considering the rule of the square. And the pawn box, the most important thing to do these breakthroughs. So, let's go with the last one. It's this one. Now this one, I thought was really neat in that, well, I trust you guys got it. Do you create a pawn box here? Do you not? How do you constrict the king? How do you get to that breakthrough? So yes, pause. Hope you're all having a good day today. And pause. So basically, let's actually go with the move that I think we're all kind of fancy of, right? Like, we've been trying to break through, right? And we see an easy breakthrough, it looks like. We just go g4. It doesn't work. Why? Well, after they take, right, we go here. Basically, black has enough counterplay. So if they try to go... sorry, basically, black would go here. Oh, no, black, sorry. It's mixing up lines there, my bad. Black would be able to counter with f5. And the idea is they can't take. They take, basically have enough time for this pawn. And even though they get this pawn, our f5 pawn would be very strong. So let's go through it really quick. Here, f5, here, basically, keep going. Basically, it's the same situation, a promotion and a promotion. Doesn't really I think this is one of the easier one to look at. If they go to f5, right, we then go to d4. And the idea is, yes, they can go to e6 to still protect this d5 pawn from promotion, but after we go c5, they have no protection. So very similar to how c5 was constricting that last puzzle, f4 is very constricting too. And no matter where they go, we would be able to win this pawn and promote this way. And let's say they actually just wanted to promote after we did d4. They would then go g4, they take, but they have nowhere close enough time, like us, to actually promote the pawn. and that is right. So, let's say they don't go f5 though. Let's say they maybe stay on this, right? They stay on like d4, e6, right? Well, surprisingly, now we have a breakthrough. Basically, we have g4. And the idea is, let's say they take, we go here, and they go here, clearly in the rule of the square. Basically, well, sorry, it's like this is the rule, and we can get in. And after they go here, we go here, we promote, we take, we have plenty of time to do this, and they have no time to actually get to defend this formation. But, let's go back. Again, they're not forced to take. Is there any way black can kind of like come in time, maybe throw an f5, and try to get their king to it? Well, if we go to e6, and still take, and if they go here, yes, they are maybe in enough time for the rule of the square, but the idea is I'm just going to keep my pawn here and just care about their pawns and promote another one. And it kind of goes in the same idea with this f4 and this c5 from earlier in that last puzzle, where it constricts the king really from the rule of the square, and basically it might it makes them unable to do any moves, which is like Zug Swing, which we'll go into that another in-game course. But yes, basically there's no way for them to prevent one of these pawns from promoting, so that is a breakthrough in-game. Just to go over it one more time, we go f4, we know why f5 doesn't work, we know why d6 doesn't work. Maybe let's even try e6. Well, we would actually do the same idea. We would still go, oh no, not e6. So mixing them. We would then go d4. And the idea is, yes, they have f5, but we're still promoting this, right? And if they go d6, then we would have g4. And the idea here is basically we would want their king on d6 before we actually play g4, because we're able to go into the same sequences, right? So basically, let's say, but they don't again have to play it, they can go like f5. The problem is we can go c5, constricting them again from ever protecting this pawn, and if they move, we take the pawn, right? So here, we know why f5 doesn't work, we know why d6 doesn't work, and it's funny, why e6 doesn't work is we bring them to d6, basically. And basically how we do that is after d4, we know why f5 doesn't work, so if they try d6, we'd be able to break through, right? King is way too far away, and after something like this, here, we would go here, and there's nothing they can do about it. So unfortunate. Yeah, we have enough time to promote in this one because they don't have the rule of the square. And it's funny because sometimes we think they have f5, but they're always one move too late. Like if they go f5 here, we still have enough time, and that's why we want their king on d6 before their king on e6, because they and some lines do have f5. But there we do have to tiptoe a little bit in that last one. It's kind of why I kept it as the last one. It's definitely the hardest out of the 5. But I hope you guys learned one of those concepts, maybe even all 3, which is breakthrough endgame, one of the pawns breaking through the structure, their pawns to promote. Basically the pawn box with 4 pawns looking at each other, maybe 3 black, maybe 3 white, 2 black, 2 white. And the last one, the rule of the square. Rule of the square will probably be one of the most important concepts you will see in any endgame, because that king becomes more powerful as the game progresses. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoy these endgames. If you want, leave a comment and say if you enjoyed this endgame, this in-game lesson more, or if you enjoyed the first one. And I hope you guys all have a good weekend. Coach Hug out.